In this video, I'll try and explain how to connect Spring Config Server to HashiCorp Vault and also talk about how to run Vault in production mode with different backends. Not a lot, but then I'll just talk about the file system backend and also the console backend. Here is a diagram which I'm going to implement in a moment. So we'll create the console, we'll run the console and then connect it to Vault. Where console will be acting as a backend to Vault. I'll also talk about the file system, how to have a file system as the Vault's backend, and then create a config server, which in turn connects to Vault to get the secrets and send it to microservice. So let's get started. First, let's begin with where to download console and Vault from. I'm pretty sure most of you guys know it, but then just to give a basic understanding, or for people who don't know, you can go. Here are the links. I'll put these links in the description below, so you can download it from there. I have downloaded the one for suitable for my operating system, which is Mac OS. I have downloaded the 60-bit, the 64-bit version of it. Same with the console, so you can download any of these options. I've chosen Mac OS because it's my operating system, so you can feel free to download whatever suits you. Right? Once you download it as in the zip format, and you'll only get the executable of it. So I have already downloaded it and I have also extracted it, and this is what we will get once we extract it. Right? So here I am, this is my home directory. Let me see what I have. So if you see in the last two things, I have downloaded the console and I have created two directories, console and Vault respectively. So let me go to console and see what I have in this, right? So console, let me clear this screen. So in the console, sorry, I'm already in the directory. So in the console directory which I had created, I have the download file which I extracted. After the extraction, I'll only get the console executable file here and not the config.json or of course the nohub.out or the data folder. I have created the data directory to keep all my data which I have configured in the config.json. So let's have a quick look at what config.json has in. Okay, so it has several different configuration which talks about what is the bind address and the client address and the primary data center. Primary data center, if you don't mention it, it will be TC1 by default, and the bind address will be the 127.0.0.1. Since I'm binding it to my IP, I've given my host IP there, right? So and I'm running the console in server mode. That's why it is true. Otherwise, you can make it false if you're trying to create a console cluster, which we will be talking later in the video. And data directory, right? The data directory signifies where you're going to store all this data into. So I have stored it in my home directory, in the console directory, and the data directory, which I showed you in the earlier, just a minute back, or just a couple of seconds back. And the log level is info, this is log is true, and so on and so forth. The important configuration here is ACL, right? I have enabled the ACL. These are this will let you to define your own ACL policies and then assign it to a particular token and use this token in your token and give it to each of these microservices. You can provide different kind of accesses, which I don't want that to be part of this video because it will take a whole lot of time to get this going. Okay, so basically I have enabled the ACLs, and by default the policy is deny, meaning anybody who doesn't have the token will not be able to do any sort of action like read, write, or anything at all. So that's pretty much in the config.json. Let's go ahead and run the console, right? You can see there's nothing in the data directory now. Okay, sorry, news to relax. There's nothing in the data directory. Let's come out of the data directory and start running console. How do I run it? I'll remove my out. Let's go ahead and run it. up. Have all these configurations ready since I'm making this video. I don't want to mess up anything for you guys. Okay, now let's take a quick look at the logs. Okay, now you see the console has sort of started running, and since I've enabled the UI, we should be able to get the UI here, right? So let me put my 192, and here is the port 8500. So the console is up and running now. As you can see, there was an error. Please, so I have already enabled the ACLs, but I haven't bootstrapped with an ACL now. So let me go ahead and do that so that I get rid of this error. As you can see, you don't see anything in the services, nodes, or key value pairs here. So I have to put in the I have to bootstrap with AC with a root token or the bootstrap token, and then I put in the token here so that the ACLs are totally enabled, and then you can see also the services and nodes stuff here, right? Let's go ahead and do that. Let me break this stuff. I am bootstrapping it now. Bootstrapping the ACL. So now once you bootstrap it, now you can use the secret ID to unlock the console. Now once you save it, this is the token I'm using it. Of course, you can go ahead and log out. Let's say or stop using, which means log out, and then you can use different tokens to see what kind of policies have been given, what kind of accesses. Right. If anybody wants more details on ACLs and stuff, please do reply on the video. I'll try and create another video only for the ACLs and policies and what kind of different policies we can create and stuff like that. So now as I showed, I have logged in into this. You should be able to see the services and nodes. So console is up and running. So let's get back to the diagram. This thing is all good now, right? The console is all good. Now let's go ahead and start the vault and connect that vault to console. Correct. Clear the directory. So let me go to vault. So I downloaded the vault as I showed them before, and again I get a zip directory. I unzip it, and then I get the vault executable. Then I have created two different configurations. One is a config file, and the other one is a config underscore console. The config file is for the configuration where the storage or the storage backend is a file system, and config underscore console configuration is for the console as a storage backend. So let's go and have a look in both of these configuration files. I'm sorry, okay. Here it is. As you can see, the storage is the local file system, which is my home directory and the Vault app, which ideally is not a high available, which is not a high available storage backend. So that's why if you're running it in production, it's essential that you run a high available console, high available storage backends like console or Cassandra or uh, different or any of the high available backends which is mentioned in the console website. You can go and have a look there. I'll also put the URL for that in the description, right? So yeah, that's pretty much. Let's go ahead. This is for the file system. I'll also show you for the configuration for the console. Here is the console. Here is the config file for the console as a storage backend. Here is the storage. Where is it? Yeah, here it is. If you see the storage, here is the console's UI, which I just ran. Now you can see the console is running on this port on this IP, and I have to, of course, change the key, the token which we just generated. We have to change. We have to take that and put in here, right? So let's go ahead and do that. I'm sorry. Uh, So I've configured it to talk to the console which I just ran. Okay, let's go ahead and start the vault. Okay, we can just start it like this. Yeah, vault config, and then you have to say what mode you're running it in, vault server, and then say config is equal to config underscore console JSON. So let's start. Now you can see it's asking me to unseal the console because it just started. So let's go ahead and see what's going on in there. This is where our vault is running. So now it is asking to provide the key shares. We can have as many master tokens as we want. I'll mention two. So we can, two of our administrators can have these tokens, and when the vault is sealed, those two guys have to come in and gain the master tokens in order to unseal this. Okay, and the key threshold also I'll keep it as 2, so both of them has to come over and put their tokens in there. And let me download the keys. Okay, and also open it. Okay, here are here is the token, master token to continue to unseal. So let's unseal this by using these two master keys. Unseal and then use another one. So okay, great. So we have logged into secrets. We can, I mean, logged into the vault, and we can see there are no secrets created yet, and vault is connected to console. So in our diagram, we have finished connecting vault to console, and let's go ahead and create some secrets, right? For instance, config happen point and say test underscore key and say test underscore value. Save it. So now to see where exactly these guys have been saved, come back to the console and see in the services we have two things now. One is console and the other one is Vault. So uh, it's already, I mean, this console is not only key value storage, it's also a service discovery tool. But in this context, we are using it as a storage backend. Otherwise, you can use it in many different, I mean, for the key value storage and also for the service discovery. Uh, and a couple of other purposes like auto registering and stuff like that. And for that, you can go through the console uh, portal or console documents to get more details on that. Let's go ahead and see the key values. Let's see if there is anything created. Yeah, there's Vault, and where exactly they are stored is here in the logical. Uh, directory. If you go and see, this is the one which we just created. If you go to the config client, it's in the data, the test key and the test values are encrypted and have been saved here. So let's get back to Vault. So this is pretty much now that we are done with Vault and console. Let's move to the config server. This is a Spring Boot config server. So how do we generate a Spring Boot config server, or how do we generate a project in a Spring Boot? Is we can just go to Spring Initializer and give a group name, give anything you want, and the only dependency it needs is config server. Uh, Config server, yeah, here it is. So people at times tend to use something called, well, since they're connecting it to Vault, they try and use the Vault dependency. Please do not do that. Why not? You can go ahead and read the description of that. I mean, this is not, it's not part of this video, so do not use the Vault configuration at all. Just use the config server, which will activate the Vault profile in your config server and serves the secrets from the Vault to the microservices. All right. So I have done this. I've already done this, and I have clicked on generate project, and then it generates your project. Uh, it's in the zip format, unzip it, and now I'm using IntelliJ, where I have extracted this and I've done some more configurations like Bootstrap properties, and I've written some application properties, and I've also enabled the config server here. I'll quickly show you once you extract it, what are the stuff you have to do, right? So after the extraction, this is how it looks like. Of course, there is no target folder then, but you will have your source folder. Then you go to the resources where you just have the application properties. I have created a server.port where when I run the config server, this is where it will be running. This is the port where it will be running, and the bootstrap properties. This is the most important thing. Okay, so here I am activating the Spring profiles active is equals to Vault, which means it will try to talk to Vault to get all the secrets from. And this is the host. You can give your fully qualified domain name or your IP address, and also the port number where you're running the Vault on. And what is the scheme? Is it a HTTP or HTTPS? Okay, if you use the Vault configuration, then you have to mention then you have to mention the token and the root token of the Vault as well. That's why I don't use it. This is to keep everything simple, right? So I have got all this stuff going on now, and the application properties also, as mentioned. I'm just mentioning the server port. Let's get back to the main class here. Okay, here we don't have to do any changes whatsoever. So this is the only we have to create an annotation to enable the config server. This is the only thing which you have to change, right? Enable config server, and you see this is the library which you need for that. So both of them are present. So let's go ahead and run the config server and see what it does. In the application properties, as you can in the bootstrap.properties, you can see all the details which is required to connect to Vault. Let's go ahead and run it. You see the it says the following profiles are active. It says vault, and then yeah, it starts the server. Okay, the server is started. We can quickly check, we can quickly verify it on your postman or something. So this is your local, as you can see, the server is running on 888 port, and the config client is the one, is the key which I created in the vault server. I'll quickly show you that. You can see here, this is the config client which I just created with the test key and the test value. So let's go ahead and see if it is created, right? This is my old config token, but we can give a new token which we generated for the new vault, right? I'm using a root token here since it's a demo, but do not do that. You need to create a new token and assign it to very good ACL policies, which denies the right access, or it provides only accesses to a respective secret for a respective microservice, right? So if you need details, please do reply. I'll try and provide as much as possible. About, yeah, the vault is running. Let's quickly get the token here. I'm trying to find the, yeah, here it is. And send. Looks like I got a wrong token here. This was the right token. It is config, yeah, here it is. It's config hyphen client. So send. Now we should be able to see. Yes. So basically, config server is able to connect to Vault, and Vault is able to connect to console, and config server is able to give you the test keys and values when you use a proper token for it. So let's create a microservice which will have to use the secrets from the Vault, which are served by the config server. Okay, let's go back to our config. This is the client application. I will provide the. I have already created all these dummy or the demo applications, and I have put it in my Git repository, which I'll be for and the links for them will be in the description. Please feel free to download and check in the pom.xmls for all the dependencies I have downloaded. Right. So get all those dependencies, put the dependencies here in your Spring Initializer, and then go ahead and start your client application. So I have written a small piece of code where to get where to get the test the client application secrets from the vault or from the config server from the client application. So I'll quickly go through the bootstrap properties and application properties and the piece of code which I was talking about, right? Config client, as you can see in the properties, we see the Spring application name. This is really important. This should be the one which is defined in the vault. Whatever the name of the secret is, that should be here. So you see here the config underscore client, which is not correct because which I just said config client, which you just saw. So I'll save that. Yes. So and this is where the config server is running. So it's trying to connect to config server. This is my root token of the vault. Do not, again, I repeat, do not use the master token here. You always have a separate token which has access to the respective secrets in the vault. Okay, so that's pretty much about the bootstrap properties, and the application properties is just the code where the microservice is running. And you can see I've created a small class like calling some message, and then by default the test key value is hello, default hello. You can say hello world or whatever you want, but then by default the value of it is test default hello. And when the test key is well, let's say when this client is configured or is able to talk to the server, it can go get the test key value and it will return the test keys value, which again config server will be getting it from what. Okay, this is only during the restart of it. It doesn't need to be it doesn't have to do it every single time when the application is run. Okay, great. So here it is. Let's go ahead and start it and see if I can get the test key value. Yeah, it's telling me I'm unable to find, could not locate the property source. That is because in the bootstrap.properties, I did not change the token here. This was my old token, so I have to change it, and then it should start working. I'm sorry for all these errors here. So let's go ahead and save it and rerun it. Now it should be able to get it. Yeah, fetching the config details, and also it says config server, yes, fetching the config from server at this, and located the environment config client. So it's great. I should be able to see the, if I go to the localhost 8877 test key, then I should be able to see the test value, which is actually the value stored in the vault. We can also, just to verify it, we can also change the value and then rerun this. Okay, let's quickly, this is config client, edit secret, and then say test value, uh, test value 1. Okay, save it. Now restart your client. Okay, great. It's again fetching the server from, so fetching the config from so and so server, and located the environment and all that stuff again. So let's come back here and see if it's been updated. Okay, so there you go. This is how you can do. This is a very basic video, but and I was since I could not find any details on how to connect to Vault. Um, and there's a lot of ambiguity. That's why I created this video. But this is not a actual production implementation, right? How exactly we can implement in production is here in my PowerPoint, which I also have done it in my organization. So you need to have a console running in cluster, and you can have two, like how I have shown in the diagram, at least three nodes, which should be good enough. And then you can have two console agents which are running within the Vault server, and the Vault will be talking to the agent, and the console agent will also be part of the console cluster. Or what we can do is have the Vault talk to one console server and the other Vault talk to another console server, so that in case of breakdown of two servers, you still have one of them running, right? And then have two config servers and a reverse proxy in front of it, run it in an active passive mode. I don't see the necessity of a load balancing between these two, because at any given point in time, your microservice doesn't need the secrets all the time. It only is necessary during the restart of it. So and even the load on the config server will only be during the restart of it and not during the usual processes, usual microservice running processes. So it's this architecture should be good enough. But if there are any suggestions, please go ahead and drop it in the comments. Thanks a lot, and also let me know if there is any suggestions or improvements I have to do. Uh, Thanks again. Cheers.